Hey, welcome to Nakama News. I'm your host, Goldie, and this is my co host, Jamie. We got a good one for you today, but first, we're going to bring you the news. To start, we are entering a national lobster shortage. Please bear with us. You may have to settle for things like filet mignon, crab legs, or even bluefin tuna. Gross.
Gross. Also, can your heartbeat awaken an ancient robot? If so, please seek medical care immediately because that is not healthy.
And lastly, please remember that when ordered to murder your friends, you don't actually have to.
You don't have to. No one's making you. It's okay.
Welcome to Nakama News.
The common news, you'll see friendship when you view the common news. Well, everyone lends a helping hand or two. We're glad you could stick around for a minute now. You're always welcome back. The common news.
All right, guys. Goldie, welcome back, buddy.
Yes, sir. Glad to be back. This is going to be another fun one.
Yeah. So this week we got chapter 1092 called Tyrant Kuma's Rampage Through the Holy Land. So spoilers to people who haven't read it or yet. So if you haven't, please go read it and then come back. But we're going to go through that today, and I'm excited because it's a pretty exciting chapter.
Yeah, there was a couple of big moves, some really fun fights in this one, and even a plot twist cliffhanger at the end. It's gonna be fun to go through.
What more could you want?
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we there's a cover page. It's just a request. It's Jinbei swimming with an aid of massive remoras that are trying to cozy up to him. So
I got nothing to say about that.
these are getting oddly specific and a little weird, but good for the people who are requesting them. I'm happy they're getting what they want.
Random
Okay,
breakers.
but let's get into the actual story, huh? What do you think, Goldie?
Yes. Oh, this was cool. I like that we got the dichotomy here. We got a little bit of a flashback, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I guess it's a 1 day ago flashback. Like, just maybe you could have just showed us to it yesterday, Oda. Um, but yeah, probably the briefest flashback we've seen in a while, or like the most recent flashback, cutting it close.
Yeah, but we get a couple of people that we haven't heard from in a while, like Kainu and Kuma, and those are it's fun seeing those two together. We get Kuma for just randomly being at Mary Joao, so we think, and just unleashing a devastating blast on the Holy Land.
Well, it's like, man, he finally makes it to the top, and then, of course, Akainu out of nowhere, right? This dude's been sitting at his desk for like the last 2 years doing nothing, and Akainu's up there. But yeah, this whole scene was pretty crazy. I think the one of the craziest parts was what you just said was the Kuma actually lays waste to a large chunk of the area. Now, granted, I think it's kind of the road in between the city and the castle, but Akainu even makes a point to say like this is the worst destruction that Marijua's had in a long, long time.
Yeah, and man, Kainu just kind of popped out of nowhere for the first time since the War of the War of the Best. That's kind of crazy. Like where the heck's he been this whole time? Why is he there? And where is everybody else? Where are the Gods Knights? Like this is the Holy Land.
Yeah, that is a good point. It makes me wonder, like, when do the Gods Knights actually show up? Because you think if they were ever going to show up, it would be when the Revolutionary Army attacked, or when Kuma's there blowing up half the city. But they must literally not care about anyone other than like the Gorosei and Emu. Like that has to be it.
The only thing that makes sense at this point, because if they're actually there to protect the Holy Land, they sure haven't done a very good job. Because first you had the Revolutionary Army, and now you got Kuma.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, yeah, well, Garland's in charge. So I hope he's getting bad reports right now because he's doing a lot of bad
Leave
things.
those negative Yelp reviews, guys.
But here's a serious question for you. Do you think Akainu's greatest weakness is a wooden desk? It's a way
Why?
to trump the man. You can't, anything, he can burn a hole through fire. He can beat ice. He can whatever. But the dude almost can never get up from his desk to go do anything.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on because we've seen so much from all of the other admirals since then, and like even the new ones. Like we've had several new ones come in and get significantly more screen time than the guy who's supposedly the biggest threat of them all.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Meanwhile, Akainu's trying to actually do his job. He does like the Hellhound attack that
That was cool.
he did that again. He did that on Whitebeard, and in the manga, he takes off half of Whitebeard's face. In the anime, he takes off half of his mustache, which are pretty equivalent, in terms
Same
of
thing.
seriousness. But so we do see the Hellhound attack, and that does mess up Kuma pretty bad. He gets half. It looks like part of his face gets taken off.
Literally melted his entire face, and apparently there's some blood.
Yeah, he does note that he still bleeds. It's like that old Batman v Superman, like, tell me, do you bleed? But meanwhile, like, so this big fight's happening, and then of course you have the Celestial Dragons just being terrible people, and like they're like, well, I didn't even get to eat my lobster last night. Come on, I'm hungry.
Just randomly stomping on guards' faces.
I had to settle for caviar. Jeez. But yeah, no, I think it's really cool to get this. But right after the attack from Akainu, Kuma pops himself away. Like, he doesn't want anything to do with this, and he leaves. So we kind of discussed this briefly before, but I'm starting to think Kuma's whole play was to just get to Bonnie. Okay, like he sprung into action when Bonnie like cried for help at Egghead, however many chapters ago, and they also alluded to the ancient robot attacking Marijois. I think the Marijois attack is kind of a red herring, and I honestly think Kuma was just trying to get to Bonnie this whole time, but somebody put this giant red wall in the way, so he had to follow up this thing. Then he shows up.
He was just self straight into the wall, and then ends up just having to climb up it and blast the Holy Land in the way before he takes off.
Exactly. Well, I think the only reason he attacked was, he was getting attacked by the guards and stuff. So I don't think it was in his programming or his plan. I don't know how much of sentience he still has, but I literally think he's just going to Egghead. I think that's what it is. And
I can see it. I'm curious if the thing that actually like woke him up or whatever was Bonnie accessing his memories.
oh, maybe, but he woke up before that.
Did he?
Yeah. So I think he just felt she was in danger somehow. But again, I don't know how. But to back it up, I mean, the actual chapter goes straight into this little flashback where it's after Blackbeard kind of was going to use Bonnie to get a ship, and then Akainu shows up and Blackbeard flees, and then Akainu and Bonnie are talking. We get a little bit of a prolonged scene from that scene where basically Bonnie's talking about her father Kuma. But there's this panel, and I think it explains everything that's going on. And I'll make sure when we upload this chapter review to YouTube or whatever, we will put it up so you can see. But Bonnie says he'd never offer himself up. He'd never leave me behind. She's saying that to Akainu. So I feel like, and this is right after Kuma left Akainu, and Akainu's like, where did you go? So I think this is the story's way of telling us he's going to Bonnie. But then, in the side note, what's also interesting about this panel is, Akainu is calling Kuma a puppet, while meanwhile the Celestial Dragons are ordering him around and criticizing him and all this stuff, where he's ironically the puppet of the world government in the Celestial Dragon.
I can see that.
So just really interesting. I thought that one page was very important for the story. So
some parallels. Do you think Akainu is gonna question his own stance in the world eventually, or is he just consistently going to be this guy who's criticizing others for the same problems he's got?
Yeah, I do think that there is a decent chance that Akainu gets fed up, especially if he discovers that Emu's a thing. I think that might be the final straw, and he might turn against the government and everything, because it's not like Akainu has been very, I mean, I don't want to say like evil, but he's been very, I don't know, very harsh. Like he killed all the people in the boat leaving, but it made sense. It's like, if you're going to destroy an island, which is already a terrible thing, if you let people escape the island, then you did that terrible thing for no reason. So while I'm not trying to defend his actions, I do think he did it in the way that you have to. Like, if you're going to do that, you can't just do a half measure. You got to do the full measure. So it's not like I think Akainu is necessarily a terrible, evil person. I just think he's ruthless in how he does it. So I could see him.
Classic Machiavellian character, right? Like, everything he does is for the pursuit of some good, but he doesn't care what measures he has to take to get it.
Exactly. So, but if you ruin his worldview and the stuff that he thought he was doing for good, he realizes he was actually doing for a lie. He might flip. He might fight some other people.
I
It
just
could.
hope we get more Kainu fights because his are awesome. Like
Oh
you gotta
man,
love it when he just melts just people and entire places. Like, oh gosh.
when he brings, like the lava through the clouds and stuff, and it's like a volcanic eruption attack. It's the coolest attack in One Piece, I think. It's so cool. But yeah, any other thoughts on kind of that whole scene there?
um, I think. Well, I agree that I thought it was interesting when you said like if he finds out about Emu. I was thinking maybe Akainu probably knows some of that already since he's fleet admiral now. But I agree there's definitely a level of separation between like the Navy and the world government. So I could see him not being in that loop. But it did seem like Sengoku knew more than like the admirals when he was fleet admiral.
Yeah, it seemed like he knew a lot, like God Valley kind of stuff and things like that, and maybe the Will of D and stuff like that. But we don't know for sure that he knew Emu was a thing, and I think that's the trump card. So I think that would be the play.
So
But
Kuma's off the Bonnie now.
Kuma's off to, I presume, Bonnie, and Akainu is probably going back to the desk.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
poor Kainu. All right, well we got some trivia.
Trivia time!
Heck yeah. I think we got some good ones today. Jamie, you want to go first, or do you want to ask me some questions?
Well, so it's funny because I told you I was mixing it up a little bit, and my mix-up today is it's not really questions. It's kind of a question, but it's who said that line. That's what I'm playing with you.
Ah, okay,
Tell me
okay.
where this quote's from, and I got 3 of them. So
Dang. All
I'm
right, all right, all right. I'm gonna be guessing quotes now. I think I got this. I think I got
okay. All right, the first one. This one's one of my favorite quotes. It's super meaningful. The quote goes, "No matter who you are, ain't nobody born into this world to be alone."
it. Oh, I know that line. It's a flashback line.
Yep.
Is that Saul,
That
Robin's giant friend?
is, that is Saul. Yeah.
Hey,
Sarah, she. Sarah, she.
that would okay, okay. I like it. I like it.
All right. Do you want me to give you another one, or do you want to ask me?
I'll give you one. All right, we can swap off here. I only got 2, and you got 3, so this will work.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the name of the wood? We saw, well, here first. We saw the Sunny get kind of blown up in this chapter, or almost blown up. It was involved in an explosion nearby. Can you tell me the name of the wood that the Sunny is made out of?
Yes, I can. I believe it's from the Adam tree. I think it's the Adam wood.
Adam wood. I'll give it to you. Treasure wood. The treasure wood Adam, it's called. Ding, ding,
From
ding, ding,
Adam.
ding.
Yeah. I was like, don't you get technical on me? I definitely got that one.
That was pretty good.
All right.
You got that right away. I like it.
Second quote. Okay. This one's a little bit longer. Sorry, I'm getting dark, but when I switch to the quote, it's dark.
Your light reflects your mind right now. What kind of quote is this going to be?
All right. Inherited will, the destiny of the age, and the dreams of the people. As long as people continue to pursue the meaning of freedom, these things will never cease to be.
Sounds like the narrator.
You're close. The narrator maybe said it, but who actually says it?
The dreams of the people, these never cease to be. That's tough. I'll go with Gold Roger.
Well, you would go correctly, brother.
Hey!
Let's go! Ding, 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 ding.
Woo! 2 baby.
2 for 2.
That was a tough one. I wasn't sure on that one.
Okay, yeah, it's, no big deal. It's only how the show starts. So
I know, right? But I thought that's kind of why I probably thought the narrator said it, because it's like
yeah, because I think when you're watching
right
a theme, I think the narrator does say it. Okay, yeah. What's your second one?
All right, so second one's playing off the first one. What other tree besides the treasure tree Adam in One Piece is mentioned in the same breath and is tied to the treasure tree Adam?
Yeah. Dang, it's definitely the. I thought it was like the Eve. I thought it was Eve. Is it not Eve, or is it the whale tree?
It is Eve. It is Eve. Can you get the rest of it? What is the Eve tree? Do you know what island it's introduced
on? Is it O'Hara?
Not quite.
That's the tree of knowledge or whatever. No, I don't know. Tell me.
All right, it's the Sunlight Tree Eve from Fishman Island.
That's it. Okay.
So we have the Treasurewood Adam and the Sunlight Tree Eve, Adam and Eve. That's kind of a cool concept that was just randomly thrown into One Piece.
A couple religious things always thrown in. Yeah, and then you got that big whale tree and Zoe.
The whale tree. Oh gosh, where's that going to come into place?
I always thought trees were going to be a bigger deal. I thought, Devil Fruit Tree and Adam and Eve Tree and all these stuff. I thought we were going to see them. I wonder if we will see the Adam Tree. Maybe that is on Elbath.
Ooh, that's a fun thought.
Yeah. All right, you ready for your last one here?
Let's go. See if I can go perfect.
All right, I really like this quote because it's a funny time. In case we become candles, I want to have a nice pose.
Zoro.
Yeah. I love that.
That's an iconic scene. He's just posing with his sword out.
When he starts to chop his leg off or whatever.
Well, I don't see any other choice. He's like, well, I got like halfway through before Luffy got here.
Nami's like freaking out, crying. Zoro chopping his legs off. It's good times. All right, let's get back to the chapter, huh?
Yes, sir. Let's do it. So we go back to Egghead.
Yep. We get the continuation of Luffy versus Kizaru, which is really cool. I think I wasn't quite sure how I expected this fight to go, if it was going to be a struggle or if Luffy was just going to kick his ass.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. I wasn't sure how. I didn't expect Luffy to get beat at all, but it was kind of like, is it gonna be an even fight or is it gonna be one-sided? It seems even from what we've seen, but we also haven't seen Luffy, right? So he's in snake mode when we first see him. Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of going snake mode right away. To me, I feel like Gear 2 with advanced Hawker's hockey armament, like surrounding his body, would be what I would hope he would do, and then go to Gear 5. But he's doing Snake Man, which makes sense because I mean, Light is fast, Snake Man's his fastest thing, so I kind of get it. And that might be why it is, honestly. It might just be because Kizaru's so fast that Luffy thinks he needs to do his fastest attack, which is probably Snake Man. But it's still weird for me that we haven't seen him do advanced Conqueror's Haki since his fight with Kaido.
Yeah, it just seems like that's kind of an attack that he only unleashes if he feels he needs to. Or maybe it's something that's a little harder for him to knowingly unleash yet, and he can't really do it at will.
I don't know. He learned it without really any trouble at all, so... I think Oda's just trying to draw cool fights and do cool things. So I can I guess reason my way through why he chose Snake Man here, because it is his fastest attack probably. But I'm just kind of over Gear 4th in general. Just like either give me Gear 5th or Advanced Conqueror's Haki, and let me kind of feast on those. But yeah, but
I agree.
Kizaru like goes way back, charges up his attack, and then like sends Luffy flying through the Vega Force 1, so they destroy the Vega Force 1, which is kind of a big deal because that's how they were going to get off the island. So now they need...
Robot go boom. It is kind of impressive that that giant robot explodes and doesn't hurt anyone. Or the ship.
Yeah, I know, everyone's totally fine. Even Frankie's like, you bastard, let's fight, you know? I love Frankie's never afraid to fight anyone. Like he was smoking on that Big Mom pack, you know, like he was ready to fight Big Mom.
Yeah, I don't think Frankie's ever like backed away from a fight.
He's got some balls, and I respect him for it.
I think he's gonna get his ass kicked eventually, one of these times.
Did you think it was interesting that there was that quick flashback where you see that Kizaru was kind of remembering Vegapunk finishing that giant robot?
Yeah.
Vegapunk made that comment, something along the lines of like, we're finally done the giant robot that mankind has always dreamed of.
Yeah, it was just like a short 2-panel flashback, and I thought that was interesting too because Kizaru had just brought up how they were close friends, and he doesn't want to actually kill Vegapunk, and then they give us this flashback where it seems like Kizaru was there for an important moment, and that's the only reason I can think of. Unless do you think there's another reason they gave us that flashback?
Yeah, it's definitely to show that Kizaru maybe feels some regret for this. Like he knows that was important to Vegapunk because they referenced this a couple times that he doesn't want to be killing Vegapunk. He has to. But I think just that theme of dreams keeps coming up, you know, and then with the end of this chapter, does the dream stuff factor into something else? I'm not quite sure. But yeah.
Gotta wonder if Kizaru had a dream at one point.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a really you're such a sweet guy. You're always thinking like, I wonder what this guy's backstory is. Why is he acting this way? And then I'm just like, I think he's doing it because he's a bad person.
Kizaru could be, but he's shown some signs. We don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely showed some gray area and whatnot, but he's still at the end of the day about to kill his buddy. So that's
Yeah, or he's at least trying.
don't kill your friends, okay?
Don't
Don't kill.
actually have to kill your friends just because your boss orders you to.
Yeah, exactly. Get a new boss. Um, and then we get another because there's this interaction between Kizaru and Bonnie. I thought was interesting too. We've had a lot of competing Bonnie things going on. Is Bonnie an imposter? Is she actually Katarina Devon? Doesn't seem like it anymore because she's really been doing Bonnie things. So I don't know if that's a thing anymore. But there's also this question of how old is Bonnie? Is she actually a little girl, like
Yeah,
aging
because
herself
she
up?
can change her age at any time. And it's weird that we never really thought of that before, but it makes sense. Like if she's actually a lot younger than we think she is. But it's still they're still keeping us guessing quite a bit. Like we really have no idea.
Well, if she's like a 6-year-old and Oda's been drawing her all scandalous like this, I think we need to arrest that man.
Oh God, that gets sketchy.
Yeah. But yeah, because in this chapter, Kizaru says something like, "Oh, hey Bonnie, you've gotten quite a bit taller. Kids these days sure do grow fast." So a little bit more gasoline in that maybe she's not very old thing, and that would explain kind of her emotional tantrums and stuff. But also, she seems to be pretty smart sometimes. So I'm not sure how her power works and stuff
Yeah,
like.
she definitely acts a lot more mature than a child. Maybe it turns out she's like 16, but I don't know about 6. Like, and then there's also that point where Kizaru mentioned in this chapter that he doesn't want to hurt any more old friends, and he's talking to Bonnie. So
Yeah.
if she's an old friend, I mean, she can't be a 10. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like you got to be at least so old to be considered an old friend. Yep. So I'm with you. I still don't know. I don't know what Oda's end game with that is. It's not the most interesting thing to me, but it's something
keeps
I'll
getting brought up.
it keeps getting brought up. I do think a very interesting thing though was Kizaru says to Bonnie like he doesn't want or she could just like stand out of his way because he's there to hurt Vegapunk and he thinks that she also wants to hurt Vegapunk. And then she says, "No, not anymore. I now know the real person I should be targeting." So
And as she do that, she attacks Kizaru. So does that mean she was referencing Kizaru, or is she actually referencing someone else just while they're fighting?
well, it's definitely somebody with the Marines or the world government. It's like somebody with the power to put this plan in place for Kuma. And I'd guess it'd be more world government. I don't know if she learned about Emu's existence or what that is, but she has a vendetta against somebody new. So I think that little tidbit is probably the most interesting now.
Yeah, and she's being secretive about it, which is odd because we don't. She hasn't just like come out and been like, "This is who I'm going after now." She hasn't really done much besides try to find out more about Kuma.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I don't know. Bonnie's become an interesting character, which is interesting of itself because I thought that the supernovas in general weren't originally planned characters, but maybe Bonnie was, and just a lot of the other ones weren't.
Yeah, I feel like they were made last minute, but now Oda's using them to kind of carry the plot forward in ways that he wanted to. So they might not have been planned from the beginning, but they're being used to like enact his grand plan, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So he's kind of a vessel for his storytelling. But yeah, the Bonnie Kuma stuff has become very important. Very excited to see. Hopefully, at some point, we actually get that flashback and know what happened in those memory bubbles.
Yeah, and we might get a reunion here pretty soon if your theory is right.
Yeah, I think. Man, okay, big Jamie theory time. I still think Kuma's coming to Egghead. I said this a while ago. I think Kuma's coming to Egghead. I think Vivi and Sabo are going to eventually come to Egghead or something like that. I do think Kuma's going to die. I think somehow Vivi's going to get his devil fruit. I think Vivi's going to get that devil fruit, and that's going to be big time. And I think,
I think Vivi's gonna get the bear fruit.
Yes.
Does it change in size? Like, does Vivi get big?
No, she's not. She's gonna get little beard
Little paws.
bear. Yeah, she's gonna get it. She's gonna join the crew officially, and boom, we got our 10.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's happening. But okay, so Kizaru like blows Bonnie up, and then he disappears. He actually goes to the Labostratum. So now we're up there with the Vegapunks and stuff, and we find out right away that the Vegapunks, the good ones, broke the code. So now they can finally turn off and turn on the barrier. But of course,
kicked Luffy through.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Poor guy. Kizaru then shows up there, and then he's about to do his stuff, but then Luffy, giant Gear Fifth Luffy breaks through the ceiling, and then grabs Kizaru, which is the ultimate FU move.
Man, Luffy going giant mode. That's gonna take some getting used to. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so
it's really
forget
cool.
that that's in his repertoire now. Like, he can just become a straight up giant.
Yeah, I love it. But also, there's no more disrespectful way to be fighting somebody than if they just grab your whole body. Like, that's
Yeah,
straight up disrespectful, Luffy. But I'm all for it. He,
definitely turn the tides of the fight.
do you think they mentioned he had to go through the barrier twice and it hurt him a lot? I don't know if that's just pointing out that the barrier's still on, or if that's important for other reasons. But
Well, I mean, I think it's supposed to reference like if anyone else would have done that, they probably would have died.
yeah,
That's what
or
I because I don't know. I don't know if there are any other points of doing that, and it's just kind of showing how OP Luffy is at this point.
and then man, that last happening of the chapter, pretty big twist.
Yeah, we got a drums of liberation, dum dum, and we see a little robot waking up.
Our little
A
robot,
little robot,
ancient
little
robot,
robot buddy.
yeah, eyes power on, like he's ready to go.
Man, that's gonna be wild. So we get the drums of liberation, but Luffy already went Gear 5 on Egghead, and the robot didn't wake up last time.
That we know of, yeah. So I'm not sure, but we didn't. And you went back and checked. You went back and checked. They didn't show the drums of liberation sound effects when Luffy was fighting Lucci earlier in Egghead. So
Yeah.
I still don't understand Gear Fifth perfectly, but maybe he doesn't kick that heartbeat in all the time, only when he needs to like power up. I don't know. So it could be the drums setting it off, but
And I
I don't.
don't think that Luffy chooses when they activate either. I think it's either got to be when when his life is in danger, which could be the other reason that he brought up the barrier, which because if the barrier almost killed him, that means that his life is in danger. And maybe that kicked off the drums of liberation, or it could be whenever he goes giant mode. But I think it's got to be one of those two things.
Yeah, I like the giant mode theory better than the life's in danger theory, just because I'd like to think that Luffy passing through that barrier didn't like put his life in danger that much. So I think maybe just the giant Luffy makes the sounds stronger, but we don't even know. It could just be a coincidence,
Mhm.
that's what turned on the giant robot. But I got a lot of questions, man. I mean, that giant robot turned on 200, 300 years ago and attacked Marijwa. Was there a Gear Fifth Joy Boy at that time? Like what?
How
What
many
was?
Joy Boys have there been?
How many Joy Boys have there been?
We're gonna get a crew of Joy Boys here eventually.
The only thing we know about that time period when that ancient robot attacked Marijwa was that's when Fishman racism started. So was there a Fishman Joy Boy? I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, what's this robot going to do? I mean, I'm guessing it's going to take the place somehow of Vega Force One and help them like get the Sunny to the right spot and get off the island. But I have no clue. Might go switch spots with Kuma and just start attacking the Celestial Dragons.
Oh man! And if Kuma shows up at the same time, I guess they're gonna start speaking robot to each other.
Yeah, beep boop, beep boop, bop, bop. I don't think. I think they made it a point. I'd have to go back and check. But when that ancient robot attacked Marijwa, I don't think it actually did any damage to anyone. It just like scared people. So I don't think I don't think anybody's ever trying to like kill celestial dragons like Kuma or this ancient robot. I think they were doing something else in that area. Maybe
Yeah.
trying to get maybe the ancient robot's just trying to get that hat back. Maybe he's like, I just want that big old frozen straw hat you got.
And so if Joy Boy's actually giant, does that mean the frozen hat was Joy Boy's hat, but giant mode Joy Boy's hat? And Joy Boy was a giant.
Yeah, I do think Joy Boy was a giant. I think that if his buddy was the Zunisha, the giant elephant, he had to have been pretty big.
Man,
So
hopefully we get some answers soon with the ancient weapon. At least there's something from the Void Century coming into play here.
yeah, well, we don't have a break next week, so we should at least get hopefully an answer to something. Why we also get 3 more questions.
Yeah, buddy. This is exciting. I had fun with this chapter. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up here, Jamie?
No, thanks for listening. Please subscribe. Otherwise, I can't pay the bills.
Yeah, the bills. We get our 9 cents a day. right now and spend some months.
I don't even
All
think
right,
we
guys.
got an
Seriously
ad.
though, you can find us over at the Nakama News over on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So follow us over there. Thank you guys for joining in.
Are you
Guys,
even posting on those things? Come on, man.
I will. I need to get mine back together. All right, thanks guys. We're wrapping up here. This has been Nakama News. You guys have a great day.
Glad you could stick around for a minute now. You're always welcome back. Nakama News.